Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back. It's so good to see you guys this morning. We are still talking about Christmas. It's such a wonderful holiday. So before we get started, we're celebrating Jesus' birthday this month, the greatest gift that was ever given. So let's stand up, let's worship, and we'll meet back here afterwards.
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave. To your glorious day, you called my name, and I ran out of that. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing, now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you called my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day.
All right, boys and girls, the last couple weeks we have talked about Mary, and the angel visited her and she found out she was pregnant, and then Joseph, and he was concerned, and an angel visited him in a dream and told him that it's fine. And so this is where our story picks up today. Mary and Joseph have to go to Bethlehem because of a census that the king basically wants to count how many people he has. So you had to go back to your birthplace. So they're traveling on a donkey back to Bethlehem. And as you're gonna see in the video, and as you probably already know, because everyone had to go back to their birthplace, there was no rooms in the hotels or in the inns, as they call them. And boys and girls, that's how Jesus ends up being born in a manger. I want you guys to watch the video and just remember all the things that happened. Remember when the shepherds came, and when the wise men came and they brought gifts. And we're gonna come back here afterwards and we'll talk about it.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Aunt Fernita, and I have a wonderful story for you called The First Christmas. Today's memory verse is from 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 15. It says, "Thanks be to God for his gift." The message for today's story is we worship God when we thank him for sending Jesus to earth. Have you ever been on a long trip? Have you ever wished that you could stop and rest? A long time ago, Mary and Joseph traveled to a city called Bethlehem. That trip changed their lives. Bethlehem was a noisy, busy place. People crowded into the narrow streets, and all of them were tired. They had been traveling for a long time to get to Bethlehem. The king had ordered a count called a census of everyone who lived in the country. Every man had to take his family to the place where he had been born to have their names written in a record book. All these people had come to Bethlehem to be counted and registered. 2 of those people were Mary and Joseph. They lived in Nazareth, but like all the other visitors to this busy little town, they had come to Bethlehem to register because Joseph's family came from there. It had been a long trip, and they were tired. And Mary wasn't feeling well. Why? She was about to have a baby. They stopped in town at the little hotel called an inn in those days, but Mary and Joseph were too late. Many other visitors to Bethlehem had arrived before them, and there were no rooms left in the little inn. The owner of the little inn felt sorry for Mary and Joseph. He could see that Mary was very tired, and he really wanted to help them. So he let them stay in the stable where he kept his animals. There, Joseph and Mary made beds on the hay, and that's where Mary's baby was born. Mary wrapped her newborn boy in warm cloths and held him close. He was so precious and so beautiful. Quietly, gently, she laid him in the manger filled with hay. That was the only bed that she had for him. But Mary's baby was no ordinary baby. He was Jesus, the Prince of Heaven. He had come to earth as a baby to show us what God is really like. He left all the beauty and glory of heaven to be born in a barn and to sleep on a bed of hay. He had traded life with his heavenly Father and the angels for a place with cows and donkeys. Jesus was willing to leave heaven to save the whole world from sin. His birth is the reason people celebrate Christmas. Christmas is about Christ, another name for Jesus. Every Christmas we remember that he chose to be born in a stable, to live here to show us what God is really like. Christmas is a time to thank him for coming to save us. Christmas is a time to share his love with everyone.
This podcast is produced by Gracelink.net at Studio El Piso, Singapore. For more children's resources, please visit Gracelink.net.
All right, boys and girls. Jesus, the King, he left heaven and he came down to earth. He deserved to be born in a palace, right? And a beautiful place, or at least a hospital, right? But he was born in a manger, right? Where the animals live and where the animals fed, and it was dirty, right? That's not how you would expect a king to come, but that's how Jesus came, because he's different than all the earthly kings. He doesn't care about those sorts of things. Boys and girls, how do you think Mary and Joseph felt about having to spend the night in the manger? Do you think that's where Mary wanted to give birth? I mean, back then you didn't go to hospitals, but she probably thought she'd at least be at home, right? But that wasn't God's plan. And then she had the shepherds come, right? And then the wise men came. Although the wise men came actually a few years later, but when we talk about the Christmas story and everyone visiting, we talk about them coming then. But boys and girls, Jesus was the greatest gift that God has ever given us. And so we celebrate Christmas and we open presents, but really, we should just be worshiping Jesus. There is no present that you can open on Christmas that is going to compare to the gift that you've already been given. Jesus left his heavenly throne, came down to earth, was born in a manger, and lived here and did nothing but teach us and perform miracles and love us and show us how to live and share wisdom with us. And then he died for us so that we can go live in heaven with him. I just want you to always remember what Christmas is really about. It's not about your Christmas tree, and it's not about your stockings, and it's not about the presents you get, although all those things are good and fun. But what's really most important is that Christmas is about Jesus, the greatest gift we've ever been given. All November, we talked about being thankful. So don't forget your thankfulness in this season. Don't forget to be thankful for all the blessings God has given you. And the most important of those, Jesus. Boys and girls, we have a really, really cool craft we're doing today. I want you guys to take your time on this so that it's really something special, and maybe it can be something that your parents decide to put on your Christmas tree. I love all of you guys, and I'll see you all next week.